The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May X3 Consultant Roundtable. We're glad that you joined us today, and thank you very much. We also want to extend a big thank you for those that have shared the X3 Consultant Roundtable with your colleagues and coworkers and have sent in requests to have them included in invites. That offer is always available. If there's somebody you want included in the Consultant Roundtable to receive invites, please just let us know. Send a question in the GoToMeeting or just send us an email. Let's check out today's agenda. So today we're going to talk about ATP-Automated Test Platform. Jason Holstrom will be here to introduce you to ATP. We have some exciting things in the What's New section, Sage University for You, and our upcoming session. So to our first topic, ATP. Today we're really excited to have Jason from the Central Center of Excellence introduce us to the Automated Test Platform, or ATP. Many of you already know Jason. Scott and I attended an expert workshop on ATP that Jason and a colleague from the Central Center of Excellence team led, and we were blown away by the possibilities that ATP offers for both functional and technical consultants. So because Jason did such an outstanding job, his reward is he gets offered to come to the X3 Consultant Roundtable. To provide us with a preview of what ATP can do. Now keep in mind, because of the time, Jason's going to cover off the what ATP can do and not a lot on the how-to. So you're going to be left with a lot of questions, but we're going to talk about, Scott's going to cover off when the next boot camp is so you can learn this powerful tool. One thing you'll know, Jason spent a lot of time learning ATP from the beginning, from its onset, and his enthusiasm for this tool will be evident. So Jason, with that, it's all yours. And I'm just going to make you the presenter. And that should be coming your way.
All right, good morning, everybody, and hopefully everybody can hear me. Am I okay there, Clark?
You sound good? Great. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending. This is it. And Clark, thank you very much. Honored. that was pretty good. Yeah, I have spent a lot of time with ATP and really working on this product. I'm really excited today to show you this. And like Clark said, my enthusiasm is really high on this. So if I get a little excited, that's because I really enjoy the product. And I like what it can do. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about ATP. I want to talk to you a little bit about what it can do, what it is, and then also I want to give you a really good execution sample of going through the script assistance that's been developed for ATP by the team in France. And what they've done is built a way to create scripts so fast and so efficient that it'll wow you. And even functional consultants can do it. It's not hard. I will be a little bit detailed on this, but that's okay. With that, one thing to note about ATP, with most help, we all know that help can sometimes be vague and not really to the point. I have installed ATP, I've installed Jenkins, I've set up all the pipelines for that Jenkins to work automatically using these instructions. Every time I show anybody, I use those instructions in order to install it, configure it, and get it ready for use. The thing about that is if I can do it from there, you can do it from there, and your team can install it from there. So that's the purpose of me always using that and always demonstrating that to everybody I show inside of a class or anything like that. When to use it and when not to use ATP in a life cycle. You know, testing customizations, this is one of the things I was talking with Bruno Gonzalez and a few others. If more of the partners would use ATP, when they do their customizations, they could literally give an ATP script to their customer, proving the customization's use and process. You could go through, set up variables that you want to see on the end after calculations, or you want to see an or whatever you want to see. It can go into that script and you can test at the end to make sure it actually worked. That is very powerful. Regression testing, whenever you're doing a patch, anytime you're doing an upgrade, applying the patches is very important, because we've all seen what happens with patches, is sometimes it can mess up some of our customizations. When you're upgrading, that's big. And from my side, I have been with 32 upgrades, roughly 32, I believe, with Lisa Dorsey and PSG. And before that, I was a customer of 9 years of X3. Lisa Dorsey was my project manager, and she helped me implement as a customer version 7, and then Dan Neary helped me with version 5 back in 2008. So I've had a lot of experience, and what we know about those types of experiences, and everybody on the phone calls will probably relate to this, is that no matter how much you practice, no matter how much you plan, it always comes down to the testing of the product. And what we get is we expect 65 orders to go in or whatever, and we get 15. And then we go around and find out, well, I'm busy, I got to get this done. It just really takes a lot of effort from the customer standpoint. With this product, you could actually pull out of that and actually have a lot better implementation, because the customers could then be working on X3 and learning X3, not learning how to test or whatever in the system. So you'll run the tests, create the scripts, and those scripts could be used for every other customer that you're using. So once you build a base script, you could use it for every customer, and then while you're running the scripts to test, make sure everything's set up, they're learning the system, instead of the reverse of them having to learn the system and also try to test. And so that really does help with that. It's really important that the customer believes they got everything they asked for in their customizations. And I want to make sure to hit on that point. If we can deliver that script to them, that proves the customization works at delivery. And so keep that in mind. When you not use ATP, you're not going to use ATP on any live production server. Now, mind you, it can't be used on the live server on an actual production slated server inside of the endpoint. There's a robot option that's not available. This should only be used on a dev server or a test server. And then you also cannot use it on any installation of X3 less than V12 2021 R1. What other benefits can you get out of this? So one, you can extend your capacity of trying to get more scenarios covered. You're going to be doing a lot of extra work at the beginning, but once you get those, like I said, the base scripts for what is currently in the system, all you have to do is just change the variables, change your data around, and now you're moving. So you want to provide continuous monitoring of the ERP systems. This can be done with ATP as well, which is really a nice part. You can meet and exceed your predefined business requirements. Scripts can be used for similar servers in your cluster. Now, we tested this, and we took a seed folder from one system and a seed folder from another system. Of course, it's the same data, but it was able to be used in every single one of those systems because it's similar data, and it's all from the base X3 installation. The other things that you can do is increase efficiency. As you know, anytime that you're testing and trying to organize a test, you have to have your test scenarios built. You have to have all of that stuff done. That's a lot of work. If you came into that customer with testing scenarios already created and say, this is how we're going to do this, and walk in and say, we have ATP, it will automatically test. Your people, your team do not have to test this product over and over to make sure it's right. We will do that and prove to you that it will work. So, I mean, you can really sell this to a customer and really focus their implementation on them learning the product, not having to learn, test, and try to figure it all out at the same time. I went through that, and I can tell you from my experience, it was really difficult to learn X3 because I was not only learning how to use it, I was also technically learning how to install it, all that other stuff as a customer, trying to understand how it was put together. So other things is the really cool part is you were using VS Code with this, and in VS Code you can create custom extensions that can create that can be loaded from Excel and CSV files instead of like using it just in a script. There are ways to be able to create that extension to do that. So if you could grab and export out of whatever you wanted out of the old system, bring it over, have it sitting inside of a file, and then create that extension to pull that file up into your script, and then use variable or parameters to get variables throughout that script through that line, that is an immense savings of time. I mean, as you can probably tell. So what I really want to focus on today is the script assistant. And in order to use it, you must install the patches. I've already installed those patches for everybody, and I want to make sure that everybody got a chance to see that. And so what is it? It's a wizard that's going to actually generate the script for you. It's going to go through the system and extract out of the system a script that will present what you have on the screen. So if you build something on the screen and then you extract that script, what you have on the screen will be in that script. So when you're putting your data in, you're putting your data in with what you know that data to be, familiarity. And then when you extract that script, it's going to be everything to do that you need to do in that script and give you those same pieces of data that you just put in, so it's familiar to you, so you can see it and understand it immediately. Okay. The syntax with the screen values is huge, but the one thing that really sets this out is the ability to create multiple things like create, save, delete, create, orders, whatever you really want to do. All the actions can be done in this product. It can take existing record and use data in the record in your new script. I want to kind of show this to you. I'm going to show this to you in a second. But one thing I want to, last thing I want to talk is when you automate with the ATP, the use of that script and the variables that you use can actually put into what's called a data table. If you're not using the Excel extension, you can actually put it into a data table within that script, and inside that script I can actually have multiple items or multiple orders or multiple anything being added to that, so you can actually loop through a selection or not a selection, a table of data that you want to have created. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and illustrate that now. So what I want to do here, so this is the image I have prepared. This what you're seeing on the screen here is a patch. Now what this is an ATP script. This script was generated by me going into the patch function, creating what I want to see in the patch, and then extracting that out. What this did is actually install all the patching to the X3 solution, so then you can actually use it. And what I'm going to do is show you what that looks like. This may look very complicated, but once I get done, I assure you, you're going to understand. So when you get into X3, and I should probably have that up, sorry. Really? There we go. So the script assistant, what I'm going to do is go ahead and illustrate and show you what that script assistant looks like. And if you know anything about ATP or did any in the reading on ATP, one of the things that you're going to find is that the first time you look at it, if you're trying to build scripts from just reading and understanding, you're going to have a very difficult time in the beginning, because it really takes a little bit of learning. However, I'm going to show you how you don't even really have to learn it, but you can actually do it by just understanding the process. And let me show you. So what the ATP script assistant is, whoops. So I'm going to go inside of an SO record. I'm going to go into all full entry. So that's my transaction. Inside of the entry, I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like. On the selection over here, once it's actually installed, patched, you'll have the ATP script assistant. In any order or anything you're in, it will bring up this view, and this view actually tells you kind of what you're going to have in your end script. I'll explain that in a second. But this is what it looks like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a sales order. I'm going to enter parameters into the sales order. I'm going to save that sales order. I'm going to extract the ATP script from that sales order. I'm going to make a few modifications, and then I'm going to return and put that order back in the system with that same ATP script in front of you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start. I'll talk a little bit more about this here in just a moment. So on our, make an adjustment here real quick. And last. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click New, and the data that I'm going to use for that, and I'll show you right here. Of course, I don't have to bring it all up. This is the data I'm going to use. Instead of Ref1, I'm going to use Ref3 because you cannot have a sales order with the same sold to with the same reference. So I'm going to change that. But this is the data I'm going to enter. Sell site, SON, the reference number, the sold to, and then I'm going to put in the product FIN 501 and the order quantity of 1. Okay, so that's 6 pieces of data that's going to go into this order, and that's all I'm entering. And this is all I have to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that in. So let's go ahead and go with NA23. If I can get on the right screen. SON, we want Ref3. And we want the sold to be NA010. Now, I'm stopping here to show you something. With ATP, it doesn't care what's on the screen, okay? It really doesn't care what's on the screen, but understanding how that screen is populated is very important to ATP, and let me explain why. So when you get to a sales order, a purchase order, and many other transactions, there's a certain point where there's an action on that field that's going to initiate a population of the rest of the screen based off a category, based off a customer setting, based off of site setting, product setting, whatever it is, gets put into the sales order based on that. But you don't get it, if you can see right now, you don't get any of that just by entering the header until you tab out of this field. Now, when I tab here, now keep this in mind, sold to, I'm going to tab. When I tab, it populates the rest of the screen. And what I'm going to pull your attention to is the fact that all of the mandatory locations got data. And they got put in all the data. Now, if I don't want to change anything else, I take all the standards and all of the defaults have been set from all the categories and so on and so forth, then I can just go right into entering the line items, which I'm going to go ahead and do because I really don't want to change anything yet. So I'm going to go, that's FIN 501, and I'm going to put in order quantity of 1. Okay, at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and save. And now I have a completed record of sales on the data that was inside of the seed with literally 6 pieces of data. That's it. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to take this information that you just typed in and my familiar information and put that into a script for sales order. So I have my order. I've created it. I'm going to go ahead and click on my script assistant, which is under the utility section. And when it brings it up, it automatically knows I'm in this function and it knows I need all of these screens. Now, if I don't need something in any of these areas, I can uncheck them and they will not show up in the script. So let's say with my order management, we had, the sales site, the type, reference, and sold to customer up here. Management was all populated automatically. Delivery was all populated and invoicing was all populated. That was all done automatically from all the settings and the parameters we have set previously. The only thing that would be left was lines. What I'm going to do is now come over and show you that on this mandatory area only, those are those red dots you've seen throughout, you know that already. But if you check this, you're only going to get an extract of just those mandatory areas. And just those mandatory areas is what I'm looking to do because I need the minimum of understanding how to get that order back in the system. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now you can also see that we're taking screen values, so whatever's on the screen, and then if it is a field only, which is kind of odd to say, but with that, that's going to tell us that something's in it. The last thing I'm going to select is called a scenario outline. And if you want to understand this, just think of it as a for loop or a while loop. While there's still something to do, it's going to do it, and it's just a loop. That's all it is. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. I'm going to come up and I'm going to click OK, and this is going to generate that script. Now, remember what I was telling you just a second ago about the management, delivery, and invoicing screens, that I will not need those because in the order, I didn't have to put a single piece of data in. That's auto-populated, okay? Keep that in mind. Pop-up blocker is usually a problem, so I don't think it is on this one. And it does download the script. It brings a script either to your browser, to your downloads, wherever you have those going. And it's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and show this in folder because I need to copy it into my location. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and change this. And I'm going to call it, ATP-GSSOH1.feature. We have our current X3 installed in Sage, and if you use any of the images, and I believe some of the partners do have those images that have this, ATP is on every image that is in our repertoire of images, should have ATP on it already. So if you're using those for a demo or something like that, that may already be there. If not, then talk with whomever you need to talk to about that. I'm not sure who would that be, but if they're X3 images from Sage, they should probably have this in there. But inside of Sage X3 ATP, and it'll be the same path, inside the workspace directory is where we execute all of our scripts from. And so I'm going to go ahead and paste this. Now, when I go back to my VS Code, if I go in, I will actually see that exact same script I just created. So that script is now created and ready to be looked at. I don't want to get into all the technical pieces of it, but just understanding that all of these parameters, the login, the endpoint names and everything is in something that is called the parameters, and it's just, it's just your folder you're going to use and stuff like that. It's just a simple parameter that gets utilized. Pretty simple to use, and that's part of the setup, but that doesn't need to be explained here as much. It does give you a lot of information about what it extracted. So as you can see, it's given me a bunch of, what this can do in orders. I don't really want to have all this in my script, so I'm just going to remove it so I can actually bring it down to something that's a little easier to read. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and walk through what we created. So remember, all I did was enter 6 variables, hit save, and then extract the script. So what this is saying is giving the user opens the SOH function, the GSSOH, which is our sales orders, it'll open that up. We're going to select the data table. This is to select our transaction. It then loads our transaction. Then it clicks the new button, main action, on the right for us automatically. It will then move into the header section, and this should be familiar. We have NA23, which is our sales site. Our SON is our type. We have a date field that's automatic, and then our NA10. What you don't see here, and I'll bring you back real quick, is this reference. Why is that reference not there? Because it's not mandatory, right? But inside of a sales order for this sold to, I can't have another ref3. So I have to have this reference in anything I'm doing, and it has to be unique for this person or it's not going to work. So I have to have this field. I'm going to show you how to create this field in that script in a couple seconds. So look for similar fields. For one, reference is just a regular text field, and type is a regular text field. Okay, they're the same exact thing. Okay, the great part about that is I can use it to get the same exact information. So inside of the script, I know that after SON, I need that reference number. Right here is the type. I was just saying it's just a text field. I'm going to select all of that because it's the same type of field, paste it right below it because it'd be the next thing in the screen. And then I'm going to take and change this that value to whatever my text label is for that field, just like it is for type, sell site, and sold to, as you see here, sell site, type, and sold to. So I'm going to go and replace this. and then I'm going to put the actual variable I want in there, and it's going to be ref4, ref4. So now when it goes to create this, it's going to look for the reference field, it's going to put ref4 in it, and then it's going to move on with the rest. So as it's going through, it's going to go NA23, SON, and right to ref3, but it will create ref4, then SoL2, and then continue. Keep in mind that ATP works a lot like importing. If that import template goes in, you expect it to work exactly as it works if you are manually entering it, because it uses all the actions and everything through that object inside of X3. Well, guess what? ATP does the exact same thing, okay? If you enter it in here, it has to be done in ATP the exact same way. So if your cell site is first, type is second, reference is third, SoL2 is fourth, keep them in that order, because as you know, you touch certain fields like SoL2, it's going to have an action. You can't go back to ref3 after you create that action, because it's probably looking for that before that. So keep that in mind. So now we're back. We got our ref4. We're going to keep the rest of this data the same. Now we get to our tab management, and as I stated before, inside of the ATP script assistant screen, I showed you those three tabs that are not being used. Why are they not being used? Because right here at the end of the SoL2, remember what I said? What do you have to do at the end of that in the screen as you're putting that order in? You have to tab after that in order for the rest of the screen to populate, right? So if that's the case and there's an action and you know that action populates, then you have to add N and the user hits tab. And now when the script gets to this point, it is going to automatically do a tab, which is then going to kick the action and populate the rest of the screen. So what does that mean to me? That means tab management and all of the build to, all this stuff I don't want to touch can go away. All of the delivery stuff that was auto-populated that I don't want changed can go away. And the invoicing can all go away. Now, I could have easily have just unchecked those three screens in the script assistant, but I wanted to show you it coming into the script and understanding why you, unless you need to change the tax to something, then you would keep this piece and then your tab is all you would leave and everything else would go. But because we don't want anything out of there right now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take all of that down to the invoicing because we don't need it. And this is what it would look like if I would have done it in the screen inside of the assistant. And now we do not have anything in the script but the header information and then our lines. And then now we're into our line section. So in our lines, we entered two pieces of data. We entered FIN 501 and we put a quantity of 1. When this automatically puts it into the screen from the generation, it gives you what's called a data table, and it gives you a lot of fields that you may not use because I don't want to change my address. I don't want to change my tax level. My sales stock conversion is staying the same. My sales unit is staying the same. Ship site is the same. The only thing that's changing is product and ordered quantity, right? So in my screenshot that I have, that I'm using, excuse me, I have a table that I've already put together, which is the same exact data that we're using here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just paste that in and get rid of these funny things out of PowerPoint. Why in the world that does it? Don't know. And mind you, that's just because of PowerPoint as carries there. Okay, so what this is if you look at it the way this is being listed, this is the data table I was talking about. This is a for loop, if you will. So it's going to do the loop while there's variables to be, while there's still variables to go through. Once it gets to the end of that variable, it will stop the loop and continue with the script. So when I had the scenario outline checked, that's that for loop. Between that scenario outline, there can be no other scenarios till you get to this bottom scenario, end scenario. This whole portion right here, sorry, too much. This whole portion of the lines is actually set at the scenario outline down to the end. Oh man, it scrolls too fast. Down to the end, all of that is the loop, okay? So I've added two pieces of data, which is the FIN 501, the FIN 502, the site, the shipping site, and then the quantity. Now, as you can see, I changed the data table, and what happened when I did that? Item ref is right here, and you can see how that parameter is put in with the tags. That lets you know that that's going to be using this column. As you can see, the DSGFCY and then quantity, all of these are there, but the ones with lines under them don't have them because we've taken those out and it notices that. So because of that, we don't need them because we don't want to change any of them. But it automatically added them because they're mandatory fields, but we don't need to have them in here because they're automatically populated when we put the item number and tab, right? Okay. So now we have item number and quantity, and what this will do is it will go through and create one order. It will go through, look at the item, it will add this item to it, then it will look at the site and then the quantity. But because I don't have the site here, because I don't need to change the site, I'm getting rid of this parameter altogether and these variables, so I don't have to use them because I'm not going to, okay? So from here to here, it's going to start one order and put 2 lines in. Once we're done with that, it ends the scenario, moves on with the rest of the script, which is then a create. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that order from what you just seen me do, and I'm going to execute this, go back into the system and create that order with 2 lines in it from what I just did from a very simple script extract, and then just removing the fields you don't need or the non-mandatory fields, okay? So here we go. I'm going to close out my sales order because you don't want to be in a sales order. I have this ref 3 here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the ref 3, even though I won't bounce into it. I'll still get rid of it though, just to make sure. Okay, and now I'm going to run the script in ATP. So very simple, go ahead and run it. So what this does, it goes through and it's going to connect. It's going to bring up the sales order entry. It's going to choose all sales entry. It's then going to click new, and it's going to go through and set the variables. Got to change language first. So now it goes in, it says, I want to go to my navigation. It's going to then select the GES SOH because that's a function that is executable from the menu. All full entry is our transaction. It's going to click new. It's going to enter the NA23. It's going to enter SON. It's going to put my ref 4, my date.
This isn't Jason typing, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not typing. I'm not touching this. This is all being done by the script, mind you. Then into the line items, quantity, second quantity, and voila.
So Jason,
we successfully executed this script. Yes.
We've got a question for you. Finish your sentence.
Yes.
And then
we got it. Yeah, we successfully executed the script and passed all of the elements of our script. And now when I go back in and take a look and go back into GES SOH, all full entry, the very top order is the exact one I just put in. That is an illustration of really how simple it is. Now, mind you, it'll take a little bit on just understanding how to use the tool, but once you understand how a screen in X3 is actually populated and you know how it works, you can create these so fast. Now, this script I just created can be used for probably every single customer because it's based off seed and that's off a standard. You could create that and make 100 copies of it to use for every one of your customers if you needed to. Okay, Clark, go ahead.
Jason, the question is, if there's a mismatch of info that's being entered this way, will the tool let you know it erred out?
Oh, yes, I will demonstrate.
I think that was a plant. I'm not sure.
Yep, that was a plant, I think. I don't know. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. I'm going to change this to 5 because this is really the only thing that would need to change for this sold to, right? Is that reference. Everything else can go back in. It's the same. But what I'm going to do is you see where I put ref 5? I'm going to leave this as ref 4. Now what this reads is, given the user selects the text field of reference, so that's our title of or our label for the field. When the user writes ref 5 to the selected text field, then the value of the selected text field is ref 4. That's going to cause an error because I'm double checking my value and I find that it's wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and execute that now. And this will show you if something's missing, if a pop-up shows up and wasn't expected. Any of that will kill the script because it's not expected. When you go through it and you do it a certain way, and that's why you enter it, you know every step that's being come. If you're going to duplicate, there's a duplicate that comes up and says, do you want to duplicate? Yes. And then when you're done, you know, those dialogues, those have to be accounted for in the script. And so this is going to run, it's going to try to create that order again, but it's going to stop right at the ref 4 and it's going to die because when it goes in, it's going to see that there's a difference of those values. And there we go. And whoops, didn't work. Input fields, values matched, ref value 5. So it gives you an exact reason. And it does do a good job of explaining, you know, a lot of times that the field isn't there or it don't understand what the label. So it doesn't understand the label. Maybe this was sold, you know, to and forgot the dash or something like that. It will tell you what's there. But keep in mind that everything you're doing in ATP right here reflects what you actually touch and move through the screen manually. So if a pop-up comes up, you have to put the pop-up message in here, detect it, click OK. So. Is that
awesome? Good? Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Jason, and great question. Thank you.
Yep. So that's what I wanted to show you today. I really wanted to illustrate really how easy it is. It is an easier product. It does take a little bit of learning, but it's really not hard because guess what? These are variables that I'm familiar with and then you'll be familiar with your customers because you're using their data. So you'll be able to match this up to the data they're using, very simple, and be able to create a script based on what you have right here just by changing a few variables, and now this script can be used everywhere. And you're talking about testing, the power of testing. I've been in software since 1999, and since then I've never seen many programs like this that didn't have to be written first in order to do that testing. So I'm pretty excited with this product, and if you get a chance to get your hands on it, get one of the images. If you have any of those that have ATP, go in and touch it. And see what it can do. It's a fabulous product. I really recommend this.
Jason, can you briefly touch on custom extensions?
Yeah, so the custom extension, and let me explain what that is real quick. So in VS Code, you have extensions, okay? There's extensions in here for just about everything. So that config, where's the, I don't think they use the word extension, but extensions, what they do is they work off of, yeah, they're there, extensions. So this is done usually with TypeScript, I believe TypeScript and a few, maybe a few others. But this extension, JSON, can be changed to do whatever you want it to do. Olivier Montier, who I work with in the COEX internal, literally created himself an extension that opened a CSV file, an Excel file, and imported those files in to parameters very similar to what you see here with the quantity, okay? Very similar. It's used a little different than that, but yes, you can actually do that, create your own extension to open Excel, be able to import that data in, and then be able to use it in a table format with variables. And he's done that and built that already, and we're going to be using that in our next presentation of our course, to be able to give to be able to show people and give them that extension so they can use CSV and Excel to be able to pull that in instead of having to use a data table, which is very good. But if you could pull an entire list of 30 orders and not have to sit there and type this 30 times, right? If that's what you're trying to do, that's pretty powerful. So having that ability to use that extension for anything you need in VS Code is great. And remember, this is a you're not going to probably do this. It'd be somebody that is maybe a technical person in your side. I know that this is more functional consultants, but this can be done. If the extension is created correctly, you could pretty much do whatever you wanted to be able to utilize in the back end. So it's just programming.
So awesome. So when I saw this, my thought was how this makes this tool that much more portable. When we go to our customer, if we're using the custom extensions, we're able to pull in the customer specific data from a spreadsheet. So therefore we have less work to do in the ATP test script itself. So again, adding more flexibility. That's why I wanted you to highlight that part. So thank you.
Well, as you see it right here, this right here is a user-defined parameter, and then the variable that's going to be with that. So what happens is anytime that you use this parameter anywhere, it will pull this value. So if I was going to use this inside of this one right here, if I was going to use it for a custom, then it would show just like that. That right there tells me that that is the variable that's going to be used from this location, my own custom variables, and it's going to bring, every time that's used, it's going to put electronics into place. So that's how those custom variables are used with the Excel. We just move them into our own custom thing, and they will do the same exact process, which is great.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason.
So thank you very much. I appreciate everybody. Any questions you have, I can answer probably offline. As we know, we all have limited time here, but I do appreciate your time today, and I do hope that you take and look at ATP, because from what I've been able to use and working with all the boot camps and setting up a lot of the boot camp systems, this is a very powerful tool. And if you're doing the testing with those customers, you all know what I'm talking about. Testing never gets done right. This can help you get there. So thank you.
Thanks, Jason. So I hope through this that you saw the possibilities. Of course, there's lots of information and it's easy to be overwhelmed. I know I was when I first saw the tool. When Scott and I did the boot camp, what was great about it was hands-on. So we actually got to experience how easy it actually is to make changes to once you run your script, and how you can modify the script. And from a technical perspective, I'm not the most technical person, but I was able to adapt and work with this rather easily. So, you know, the ease of creating and editing a script is there. The ease of execution is just a button. The visibility of an error is there in terms of, did this work and why didn't it work? And then as well, the flexibility and how we can use this elsewhere. Internally, our expert services team are working on using this as well. And the approach we've taken is that our technical team are doing the initial setup and the configuration, and then the functional team is setting up the test scripts. And we plan on using this for, you know, our X3 start instances, where we're going from one release to the next for our custom development as a means of regression testing and other testing. So the possibilities endless, and that's why we wanted to bring Jason to share this with you. So again, thanks, Jason.
And Clark, can you hear me still?
I can.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. One last thing to talk about what he talked about with the boot camp. What we developed, Olivia and I, what you do in that boot camp is we take you through a full spectrum of how to use ATP, but why you use it in environment, and why is it used in the implementation. And we take you through a lot of the scenarios. The one thing we do is we set up a GitHub account. We show you how to integrate with GitHub. We show you how to integrate all the scripts with GitHub, how to post back to GitHub using ATP, and then be able to pull the script from GitHub and use within the ATP project. So we do a lot of integration as well, and we are working on a third boot camp that is really focused all on the Jenkins side of it, which is great because Jenkins is such a powerful tool that's used very, very widely in the world right now. So I appreciate that. But yeah, if you want to know a little bit more, you can talk with myself or Clark, and we can give you more information. Thank you.
And we'll have details as to the next boot camp a little later in today's session. Okay, so Scott, are you able to see my screen, or Jason?
Yeah, ATP's up.
Perfect, awesome, thank you.
I see it, yep.
Okay, so next on our agenda is what's new.
Wonderful.
Scott.
Awesome, Jason, thanks so much. I'm not sure your passion comes out when you talk.
Oh, no, it doesn't, ever.
All right, everybody. So 2023 R1 features. So went through, this is everything that's been updated for the US. Obviously, there's other country updates as well, but a couple of things coming through. 1099 updates in the financial section for both for 2022 reporting. On the distribution side, we've got some great stuff for mobile automation that's upcoming, with regard to scanning capabilities, LPN updates, the ability to print purchase order documents for receipts, which allows you to scan different options for the receipt itself. some updates to stock change lines and product picture visibility. On the project management side, licensing policy changes with the ability to copy project functionality from one to the other. For the financial overview, cost structure, and task planning functions, all of those are running with improved times. And then from a mobile automation standpoint, the ability to enter time transactions through my assignments windows. On the manufacturing end, again, mobile automation updates for production labeling on tracking creation. So you can print your production labels right after production or right on tracking creation. From a platform perspective, there's some password updates for either the new instance or some password structures. Dime variables, auth2 authentication updates, Node.js, 18 where it's not compatible with Linux anymore. More details on that in the release documents. Some HTML email text through workflow selections, and some updates to GraphQL APIs. So those are all things that that are coming through in the next, or in this current release that's out for you. Go ahead to the next slide.
Oops.
Back up one. And then, so just to feature highlights, Thursday, June 1st, 9 a.m. For CES time, and then 4 p.m. for us on the East Coast here.
Which
those
I think
are all,
that's 10 a.m.
Is that 10 a.m.?
Eastern,
Yep.
yeah.
So it'll be for the updates from the central team. So go ahead and get in and register for those if you haven't already. Okay. Go ahead, Clark.
And we've got a quick poll.
Poll here for you.
So of the
updates, which ones would you like to see demoed in future roundtables? So you can select one or all or a couple. It's up to you. And that'll be open to everyone. Some good stuff coming through. Technical. Mobile automation's big. Good results so far. Awesome. A couple more seconds here. Clark, whenever you're ready.
Great. Thanks very much for the response there. 85%, 84% have voted. We're going to close out the poll.
That's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for that feedback.
In terms of what's new, next, expert services page on Sage Partner Hub. Just going to pull over my browser. So we're very pleased to launch an expert services page. The Partner Hub is under construction at the moment. So we're placed initially under the Sales tab, Sales menu. This is going to be changed in the future. We're going to go to Expert Services, and then you'll see our page. So basically the page displays many of the offerings of the X3 Expert Services team that we provide to meet our objectives of partner enablement and support. Things that you'll see on this page include X3 Start and how to gain access to it. You'll see portions like here where we've got documentation, etc., that you can view or download. We talk about expert training, which coming up, there will be a North American catalog of courses available. This will be listed shortly, with the opportunity to request courses from the catalog be scheduled if they're not scheduled. So this kind of gives you the opportunity that if something isn't listed on SageU, but is available on in the North America catalog, you can request that course be scheduled, and emails provided to do so. As well, Knowledge Bite sessions. Here are the downloads from the various Knowledge Bite sessions the Expert Services team has done. Again, you can view or download multiple pages in this case. Consultant Roundtable. Here you find recordings of the past consultant roundtables for ease of reference. Customization Library. Here's a document that identifies customizations that we've completed and those that are being planned to be done. For more information, there's our email for further reference. We talk about service bundles, the DMT tool. Again, information provided, request forms included, the migration path, DMT migration path, and this is DMT for other Sage software like Sage 500 to X3 to simplify that migration. And it talks about forthcoming is Sage 300 to X3, Sage 100 to X3, timelines provided. And as well, there's information on health checks. So we encourage you to check out the Sage Partner Hub and get caught up or get information on anything that is offered by the expert services, anything you have questions about. And while you're here, you can always pre-register for future X3 consultant roundtables before your invitation arrives. And you could also register for our pre-sales team does a similar type roundtable with some really good information available there as well. Perfect. Next, from the April session, Lydia from the Central Center of Excellence presented the enhanced package, which is the image that the Central Center of Excellence provides of the seed folder. With the 2023 release, they are having a release presentation through SageU. This is scheduled for the 14th of June at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You can register on SageU. For those that missed the session last week, the enhanced package provides a 2023 R1 environment and includes many of the key tech partner solutions like SEI, SDA, web scheduling, ATP. ATP, of course, not being a partner, but ATP is here as well. So it gives you a quick overview to view this valuable tool, view and learn about it. Scott, Sage
All right,
University.
wonderful. And Paul, Karen, we got your ads in the questions, so thank you for adding those in. Okay, SageU, real quick. We got just a few minutes left. Go ahead, Clark. So I always want to keep this in your forefront. Just your partner learning program. It is available out there for SageU. Covers your core training, your additional and advanced learnings, and also has the ability to get you to the stream subscription. So go ahead. Same thing, again, just as a reiteration every month, making sure that you have your access to the basic learning memberships. Go ahead. And then what's in each plan. All right, just want to make sure that these are available to you every month, so you have it first and foremost. Go ahead. Going into knowledge bites, so just 1 hour sessions, June, July, and August. We've got some good stuff coming up here for data import and export features, workflows, financials for auto and group ledgers, understanding advanced workflows, metadata dictionaries, and covering MRP or replenishment features within X3. So those things are coming up in the next few months. Go ahead. Expert workshops. This is something that we want to make sure that you guys really take some visibility into. And there are two ways to find those. You can either go to your global search in Sage University and put in your Sage X3 Expert and search for any of those available classes, or looking through your calendar of courses. Same thing, looking for Sage X3 Expert classes, and you'll be able to see those in your calendar. Go ahead. As always, we list those out for you in the next few months so you have some forward visibility. So for project management, we've got a couple of classes available coming up here in June and July. Go ahead. Financials, again, we have, I left the how to manage full costs in there. That class has ended, but I'm going to have another one coming up soon. And then the master settings for WIP accounting will be coming up here in July. Now, one thing about financials, because we're only looking at June, July, August, September is going to be very heavy for financials. So next month you'll be able to see what those look like here on this presentation, or you can go out and look at those on your SageU calendar. Go ahead. Distribution manufacturing, quite a few different classes coming up, but what I wanted to draw your attention to is the understanding different configurator scenarios. That class had been moved from next week to the end of June, and there's 2 sessions covering over 2 weeks. So there's the Thursday and Friday, June 21 and 22, and Thursday, Friday, June 28, 29. It's all the same class broken out into 2 different weeks. So I'm going to make sure that you gain visibility to that. Go ahead. Expert workshops for the technical development workflow sessions. 4GL, that class ended this week. Just wanted to let you guys know that's a fantastic session. Mark did a really, really good job at explaining a bunch of new stuff for development and technical features within X3. So that's a great class you might want to look for in the future. Add-on development licensing best practices, that's going to be next week. So you might, if you're looking for anything to get into that, you might want to register today before it closes out. And the only other option here is, as you can see bolded at the bottom, the meeting challenges of the Sage X3 project with ATP from none other than Jason Holstrom, giving that in the middle of June. Okay, so quite a bit of cool classes coming out of this. Go ahead. Then new SageU ISV training. So if you haven't heard about this yet, Procession has started to give their own classes through SageU. We got a couple coming up here for quality control. There's one for July and August, and then for the formulation side, again, June and August. So I wanted to draw your attention to those. I know that they are looking for additional ISVs that will give their own SageU training. So more to come on that.
And Scott, you and I did the quality control review in that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was outstanding. Yep. Really, really well done.
Yeah, Roosevelt and Elizabeth did a great job on that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. And back to you in the studio.
Perfect. So survey question. At the end of the session, we have a survey question of what topics would you like to see? Oh, actually skip that just for a second. We've got a survey question, just not that one. Next consultant roundtable will be Friday, June 16th at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern time, being of course the third Friday of each month. And just a reminder, when you're scheduling, you can schedule future sessions all at the same time, so get those on your calendar. Survey question, here we go. Is there a particular ISV that you'd like to see in a future Sage X3 consultant roundtable? The survey is going to pop up when we close out the meeting. We'll have a few minutes left, so you'll have time. So A, it's going to pop up right after the meeting, or B, it's going to come in a follow-up email. So again, thank you. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the feedback. We greatly appreciate it. Keep that feedback coming. And Jason, Scott, Jason King, everyone, thank you very much. And with that, enjoy your weekend, everyone, and please take a second and respond to the survey question. Thanks again.
Great job, all. Thanks, everybody.